ripple of surprise.
What master left behind? I want it all.
Every word was calm and casual, but as she made this final declaration, King Tang's slender, beautiful figure gained an imposing, majestic air.
You want it all.
Pimo froze at first, but soon, he couldn't help but burst into laughter. He jeered.
I never would have guessed that of Master's 9 inheritors, the one with the biggest best his most beloved, trusted King Tang was actually so greedy.
In truth, Siyi had been a detached observer this entire time. He didn't care about the golden, winged Great Peng or the levitating sword. Hole's betrayal. He didn't care even when his greatest enemies fought their way to his door. But when he learned that his most highly regarded inheritor, Paimon, and most treasured, beloved King Tang were each conspiring and scheming against him, he was silent. It was just a bit of treasure, yet it was enough to turn the two apprentices against each other. Alas, suddenly, King Tang attacked. With a single swing of her sword, she left Pimo gravely wounded. His injuries left him a hair's breadth, but as he did, he cried out in a mix of shock, fury, and panic.
Who'd have thought? You witch, you sure hid your true self awfully deep.
He never would have guessed that his junior apprentice sister's cultivation was far more terrifying than he'd imagined. Siyi was King Tang didn't pursue him. She stood alone before the bronze coffin, a hint of a sneer at her lips, muttering,
How much would Master's heart ache if he knew that Huo Yao, although he never got mixed up in this, when he left, he stole the abstruse primordial god mirror. This treasure alone is enough to boost him to the imperial realm. Unfortunately, Master has already passed on. He will never know any.
Apple had initiated this. This novel is the best and most popular novel in 2022. Siyi, the glorious man, be it wealth, power, or women, is at his fingertips. Despite this, when he realizes he's reached his limit, he chooses to reincarnate in persons on him for the sake of treasure, and his disillusioned spirit vows revenge. Now, 500 years later, Siyi is back, but as a crippled live in son-in-law and local laughingstock. His current situation is a far cry from his former glory. Thus begins a journey back to the top, starting from the very bottom. First Immortal of the Sword, Chapter 1, The Hall of Mourning. A funerary hall. A bronze coffin lie in the center of the room, its surface engraved with all manner of birds, beasts, insects, and fish, as well as the boundless and ancient patterns of the sun, moon, and stars. A young woman clad in pristine white silk, too beautiful for this world, knelt before the coffin. Outside the Hall of Mourning was a world like a hidden realm, reminiscent of the pure lands of the Western paradise. Terrifying figures, like heavenly gods and Buddhas, were engaged in vicious slaughter. Furious howls filled the air, divine blood fell like rain, yet the interior of the Hall of Mourning was utterly silent. From beginning to end, the young woman knelt with her head to the ground, her expression neither sorrowful nor joyful. She was utterly calm, without the slightest ripple of emotion. So this is what a woman did. His eyes reveal an indiscernible hint of gentleness. In life, he'd once roamed the surrounding void, visiting its various divinities. His sword had suppressed the starry sky, and he'd arbitrated an entire great realm. He'd once conquered the world, becoming the absolute hegemon of his era. He'd once been honored as the 9 provinces of Wild's one and only master of 10,000 daos. In the eyes of the 9 provinces' expert swordmasters, he was a peerless expert in the way of the blade, the swordmaster of abstruse force. But when word of his death spread, everything changed.
Ha ha ha, smelting fate and refining the grand Tao. From now on, Sujuanjin's heaven. Smelting furnace belongs to me.
A burst of laughter rang out from the hidden world beyond the Hall of Mourning. The sound carried both delight and pleasure. Siyi glanced over. It was a golden, winged Great Peng, its wings so massive, they were like clouds blotting out the skies. Its feathers had a dazzling sheen, as if they were drenched in golden sap. Its unmatched radiance spread through the skies, the sheer majesty flattening the mountains and rivers on one side. It clutched a bright, fiery red cauldron in its enormous "Trade me now." Siyi sighed in lament. He vividly remembered that, 80,000 years ago, the golden, winged Great Peng Tao, out of consideration for its sincerity, he'd allowed the bird to cultivate by his side, yet now, Here it was, calling him directly by name and stealing his heaven, smelting furnace.
A blatant traitor. Sujwanja knows my levitating direction Sword Sutra. Today, we're here to reclaim what's rightfully ours, and we'll kill anyone.
Today, so